So here we are with a quick look around the harbour at Hakahau. Everything is looking good for the passage, a bit rough to begin with, but I'm going to raise the anchor, get the sail up and get underway. So here we are, it's midday Tuesday, the 11th of July, and we're getting underway to the Tuamotus. It's going to be a 4 to 5 day passage, and the seas are pretty big at the moment. 2.5–3 meters on the beam, which is the most uncomfortable, of course. But the sun is shining, the wind is around 20 knots, and we're about to head over west, turn to the west shortly. Have to be a bit careful because some of the coast here is not charted, so you obviously have to keep outside the uncharted areas. But notwithstanding, we're on the way, and so yeah, in 4.5 days time, by Saturday, hopefully, maybe Sunday, if it goes more slowly, then we'll be there. Start of the journey, always exciting. We were getting a really good view over the north end of the island of Ua Pou. Feature this one, it looks almost like an enormous archway. It would be lovely to get a little boat and get really close and have a good look at it. Looks most intriguing, and in fact all the way there are caves all around the coast of Ua Pou. The plan was to come into Hakahau Bay just to have a look at it, but we're rounding the island well offshore, and it's pretty windy and rough. So the plan is to try and get closer inshore on the west side to get a bit more protection, hopefully, and come down the coast quite close in where it's safe to do that, and just have a look at the view of the island from the west side. So that's what we're about to do now, but I'm probably going to skip going into Hakahau itself and just make do with a quick look from a distance. We've got 23 knots of wind. It's pretty rough, so we'll try and go down and get a bit of protection on the west coast. So here we are looking towards Hakahau, the place with the chocolatier, Manfred and his wife. Supposed to make this lovely chocolate, which I've not yet had a taste of. I would have loved to. I'm a bit of a chocoholic. And so all these views are coming into looking towards the actual town of Hakahau and the area around it. So all views in towards the bay. The main was fully raised, but I was motoring because I was expecting the wind to become pretty fluky at times, very much up and down, disappearing, getting strong with gusts, and that is exactly what happened as I went down the coast. So we've now changed course, we're not going to go into the bay. In the middle of Ua Pou. Amazing scenery, fantastic. So now we're going to head down the west side of the island. The hope is by doing that we'll get slightly less seas, because they've been pretty rough so far. Well, as hoped, the seas have died down a lot. Relatively calm compared with what we had, especially when we left Hakahau. So we're beyond Hakahau now, and we're heading in towards Cape Punahu. That's the cape over there. Having a good cropping as we go round. As I came down the coast, the spires, the volcanic spires, were always popping up into view, different ones. There are quite a few of them. Some of them with their head in the clouds and some not. There's Cape Punahu in the distance. We're going to be rounding that very shortly. And then suddenly, as if these spires weren't amazing enough, this amazing high cave entrance, fantastic. Cape Punahu, and we just had a little fishing boat come by. Big waves, very friendly people, the Marquesas. It's very gusty now. We were quite protected just before, and then suddenly, obviously the valleys, the wind, the strong wind is getting over, and all of a sudden we go up to over 20 knots. All of a sudden. Then hopefully it'll calm down again, but in the meantime the seas are so much quieter, so much better than they were. They're going to get up again once we leave the lee of this island, but for the time being that's really very comfortable. And so many varied rock formations, absolutely amazing, quite fantastic. Passing Cape Punahu, there's some interesting caves at the bottom of it. It's died at the moment, the boat's going, so it's okay. You can see how small the island is. I think it's something like 10 miles by 12 miles. There are a lot of caves here, and most of the land is on, I mean, it's just deserted. There's very, very few dwellings anywhere. A nice little anchorage there. I was intending stopping on some of these at some of these anchorages, and it's quite close to that big cave. So there's a couple of yachts in there, 2 yachts I can see. Very nice place. You can stop there for quite a time and just have a lot of peace and quiet to yourself. It's interesting that we're getting a bit of swell from the south now. It's obviously wrapped around the bottom end of the island and coming up this way, as opposed to coming round from the top end of the island. Anyway, but it's still relatively flat, the water, which is nice. We're just beginning to bash into it a tiny, tiny bit, but nothing too much. For lunch, I've just finished up the last of my eggs from Mexico. Turn them every day, and if they're really fresh from the hen when you leave, turn them every day. That's all they need to keep them 3 to 4 months. I had a couple of bad ones last week, but all the rest have been reasonably good. Dramatic end of the day here. amazing rock formations on this island. That is one beautiful anchorage. I'm quite envious. It would be nice to have more time and be able to go there and just spend a few days. Go swimming and explore the caves. Lovely. Probably catching plenty of fish as well. So dramatic. Absolutely. Plunging down to the sea. We're in 150 feet. So steep. Totally weather worn. Just amazing. So as we made our way down the west coast, which was mainly deserted, every now and then there'd be a little cluster of houses, of buildings, and presumably they'd be fishing out of here from a rather protected bay. So looks very nice, very quiet, and looks as though they wouldn't have too much problem with the wind here either. And then suddenly, amazingly, looking down to the end of the island, there's this tall rock. I mean, just looked like a sail. The little village of Hakama'i. Getting close to the south end of the island now, Ua Pou, and there's that dramatic spire, well, it is high rock. It should be called Sail Rock. Yet another cave. Bye, Ua Pou. Good to know you. Wonderful island. Wonderful, absolutely amazing. Definitely worth seeing again. So now it's off to the Tuamotus, 4 to 5 days. Starting from now, just change course. The mainsail had already been up all this time. We'd been motor sailing from time to time, in between motoring. And all I had to do was get the genoa unfurled and get myself underway. Lovely to be sailing again. A few more shots of the south end of Ua Pou as we get underway, and it fades off into the distance slowly, slowly. Immediately we turned off the engine and got ourselves sailing away from the island. I felt myself relaxing and feeling so much better and enjoying being under sail and off on a long passage. It's not that long, in fact, 4 to 5 days, but it just feels so nice to be out at sea in very pleasant conditions. A little bit rolly. The swell is about 3 meters, but other than that, very nice evening coming. It's just on 4, so we've been under sail now for just over half an hour. Turned off the engine about 40 minutes ago, and sailing for the next 4 or 5 days. Fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that. It's probably going to be a bit of a rough ride, but next stop is Tahanea.